Hey everyone, it's Joy here and welcome back to my channel. I hope you're having a really fabulous day. Today I'm sharing two of Spellbinders club kits, the Embossing Folder Kit and the Glimmer Hot Foil Kit. So I'm going to start with the Embossing Folder Kit, and here is this embossing folder, and if you notice it's really large, so you can do tons of different sizes inside of this card. A2, I think 5x7, definitely Slimline, mini slim, and it's really a very pretty background. So I am going to be showing you, it's super simple, but showing you that you can foil your background and then use an embossing folder and emboss over the foiling. So I am using some little splatter effects from the Splatter sentiments from Yana's new release. And I am also using Spellbinders synthetic glimmer specialty cardstock. So it's really thin, but it really takes to foiling nice and easy. So I'm just going to place these on a tape hinge. That way, if you didn't foil properly the first time, you can just lift them up, add another piece of foil, and then just put them right back down in place and foil it again. I am using Aura foil, big surprise, because this is my favorite foil. It's gold, but it's got all this like iridescence to it. It's so pretty. So I'm going to put that on my glimmer plate. It's nice, or my glimmer system. It's nice and heated up. I press the button. It went for a minute. I'm pulling that out of the station, putting on my shims, running it through my die cut machine nice and slow, and then I'm going to peel this back. Now I did have a little bit of overfoiling, and when I did this again, I even had more overfoiling, which ultimately is not a big deal. I just used my eraser to erase it off. But I was like, why the heck am I having so much overfoiling? And it's because I put some extra shims in the last time I did a project and I forgot to take those out. So here I'm going to put those little splatter effects from the Splatter sentiments, and I'm going to add that a few more times and just tape them in place, add some more foil, and run it through again. This is where I had a lot of overfoiling, and it did kind of mess up some of the image, but I had already planned on trimming down this back panel smaller, so it actually worked out fine, but I kept it in to show you that it does happen. So see that kind of big blob there on the right? It kind of went over some of those splatter effects, but I was able to erase most of it, which was really not a big deal. And again, I just trimmed it down, so it worked out totally fine. But don't erase over the actual glimmer either, where the glimmer plates were, because you will erase your foil. So I'm going to put that out of the way, and then I'm coming in with the Precision Layering A2A dies. They have an A and a B. I'm going to tape that in place, and as you can see, I'm going to be trimming off all the funky stuff, so it didn't really matter. Thank the Lord that this one worked out. So I ran that through my die cut machine, and now we've got this little background to work with. Now we're going to run this through the embossing with the embossing folder, and I didn't know how the synthetic paper would emboss, but it embosses beautifully. So I'm going to run that through my die cut machine, and then now we have the embossing, and you can see that even some of the foil was embossed and it doesn't damage it at all. So you kind of have a great, kind of a double effect here. Okay, so I am using the Lemon Zest Etched dies from Spellbinders. I am going to die cut that from white cardstock. I originally had die cut these from yellow and green, but when I looked at this card, it just kind of spoke to me like, I just need to make this lighter. And I don't know if you guys ever get that feeling. Sometimes your cards just kind of tell you what it needs, weirdly. But I decided to go really light ink blending. So I am going to be using some Altenew inks. I will be using Buttercream and Bamboo. I'm keeping it super, super simple. I'm using Tailored Expressions Bitty Blender brushes. And for the lemons, I'm not even going to ink up the whole lemon, just kind of the top part, where if I was coloring this normally, this is where I would add more shading and some darker areas. So I'm leaving the bottom part of the lemon white and just blending in this nice, really light Buttercream ink from Altenew. It's super light, super pretty. So for the leaves, you have this main stem with leaves, and then those little pieces over there kind of add some more dimension to the leaves themselves. So I'm just adding this bamboo just lightly. Of course, I'm leaving some white areas because I want this to be really soft and pretty. For these other little pieces that are going to go on the leaves, I'm just doing that center line or the top line, if that makes sense. I'm not sure which one would make sense, but I'm leaving the bottom part of it white and just adding a little bit of that bamboo and just putting it into place. I'm going to clean up my workstation. I don't want to get this ink on my all white card here, but I am going to start gluing these leaves together. I'm just using my reverse tweezers and my Barely Art liquid glue and just adding that to this nice die cut. I really love this lemon zest die. I think it's so pretty. I think lemons are so pretty, and it's a fantastic size that kind of takes up a lot of room on your card. Okay, so now I'm going to just poke out the little bits and pieces from the lemon with my tool-in-one, and we are going to put this card together. I'm going to use foam tape to pop up the lemons and the leaves. There was also an extra little stem there that I had to just ink up a little bit with that bamboo because I wanted to add a second lemon. So I'm just going to put that in place. I'm going to let it just kind of go off the sides a little bit because this is trimmed down so a lot smaller than an A2 size card base, so I don't mind that some of it hangs off. I'm going to add foam tape behind the lemons, a little bit of liquid glue on that stem on the tip so I can use my tweezers to hold that in place so that way that stem will glue to the leaf underneath. Now I already had this happy birthday sentiment from another project that I couldn't use. This is from Yana's new collection. I do have that listed and linked below. I just cannot remember what it's called right now. But I already had that foiled with aura foil, so it says happy birthday, and I'm just going to use that because I kept that in with my die cuts and the glimmer foil because I couldn't use it. Okay, so with those precision layering A2 dies, I am going up one size larger than the other panel we did, and then I'm going to the largest size panel. The largest size one, I'm going to use that embossing folder on and emboss that. Then you have this nice little white layered background behind your other embossed image. So having just a plain white piece of cardstock between the two kind of breaks up the embossing, which is much easier on the eyes. When I tried to layer it without that other little piece, it just didn't look as nice. So I'm going to add some foam tape behind that and center that. I will add this to a A2 size card panel. And I'm going to finish off this card with Studio Katia's Gold Fever Confetti, which is one of my favorites because it's kind of iridescent as well. Okay, on to the next club. This is the Glimmer Hot Foil, and you can see it's just all full of sentiments. Some of them are scripty, some of them are just kind of print. The sentiment I'm going to be using is hope your day is full of joy. I'm also going to be using Magnolia Glimmer Blooms from Yana. This is from her newer release, again on that synthetic cardstock with the aura foil. So I'm going to foil this flower twice, and then I'm also going to foil the sentiment in aura foil as well. And so while my machine is heating up, because I did turn it off when I was finishing that other card, I should have kept it on, but while it's heating up, I'm just going to prep and get all of my images ready to be foiled, and then I can just foil them and run them through my die cut machine. If this is the first time you've seen any of my foiling videos, when you run it through your die cut machine, make sure you run it through nice and slow. Don't go quick, and I like to go forward and back, and usually I get a really nice foiled image. So I am going to peel this back. On one of these flowers, I didn't even realize till the card was done that one of the leaves didn't foil perfectly, but honestly, it's not the end of the world. It's a handmade card, and you know, not a whole lot you can do about it once your card is done and put together. So I'm going to do this second flower and the sentiment, run that through, and now that's done. Okay, so I'm using some Copic markers. I'm using V12, R00, and G43. So the V12 and R00 are for coloring these petals. So I'm laying down that V12 first, and then I'm coming in with the R00 and kind of blending it out. Now, this is synthetic cardstock. This is not like what I would call Copic friendly cardstock as far as blending goes, but I love how the blending looks. And I'm not sure if you can tell on camera, but it almost looks like watercolors on the petals, which I think is so, so pretty. For the leaves, I just kind of filled in those lines with that G43. And I'm going to do the other set of the flowers exactly the same that I did this one. Then I'm going to use the coordinating dies to die cut out both of these flowers, and then I'm just going to trim out that sentiment with my paper trimmer. I did make sure that my Copic markers were completely dry before I ran this through my die cut machine. They dried pretty quick for being, you know, not just regular cardstock. So I'm going to trim out this sentiment, and this is going to go right in the center of this card. For this one, I am making a slimline, or excuse me, a mini slimline card. And I am using the Precision Layering Mini Slimline B. There is an A and B for this. I die cut the smaller one from white cardstock and then the next size up from that small white one in Kunzite cardstock. It's a metallic cardstock from Cardstock Warehouse. Now, I'm going to add some foam tape behind these flowers, and I'm just going to make it look like it's full across this whole mini slimline. It almost, with the open area, almost reminded me of a frame, but I will be covering the open area with the sentiment. So I'm just going to add some foam tape, adhere this to that white mini slimline card panel that we just die cut from the Precision Layering dies. And I'm just going to lay these in place and just make sure that they are even on both sides. And isn't that so pretty? I love that it just kind of hangs off the side. If you wanted, you could trim it down, but I kind of liked it a little wild looking. I added foam tape behind that sentiment, and I'm just going to pop that up right in the center. Now, what I should have done was add another piece of foam tape in that open area on the back of that card panel. That way my sentiment doesn't sink in, but as long as you don't push on that part, you're okay. I'm going to adhere that to that other little nice piece of Kunzite. It's kind of a pretty lilac kind of color. I'm going to adhere it to that, and then adhere that to a white mini slimline card base, which measures 6.5 by 3.5. I'm going to finish this card off with the same Studio Katia's Gold Fever Confetti. Just a few of those around, and then this card is complete. And isn't it gorgeous? That nice sentiment is large, and it fills up the center of this card from the Glimmer Hot Foil Kit. And then you've got this beautiful embossing folder from the Embossing Folder Kit on this background. I just hope that you guys enjoyed this project. Thank you so much for watching. If you like what you've seen, please subscribe to my channel, comment, share, and like. I appreciate it, and I will see you guys soon. Bye.